Hi there, my name's Aaron Short and welcome to my YouTube channel. And today is April the 8th, Monday, April the 8th, 2024. Hope everyone's doing well. Let me know how you're doing in the chat. And we will get started. Let me know if you've got any questions today. So we've got some chat messages already. I'm going to give you an update on the intonation issue that I was talking about last week as well. So I'm just trying out something new this week, so bear with me. Yeah. All right. So let's say hi to start with. Nick Johnson was here first. How you doing, Nick? Good to see you. And Nick says, ready for the show. I need your help talking me out of a custom shop strat. What's your experience with the Fender Custom Shop? Now let's get straight into it then. Fender Custom Shop, I only have experience of buying custom shop guitars mostly from Sweetwater. So a few other places, but mostly Sweetwater. I would like to order one. I always think, with custom shop guitars, you've got to be very brave when you order something because you don't know what you're going to get and you can't always return it. I imagine most of the time you can't return it, right? So please let me know in the comments as well if you're watching live. Let us know if you've tried a custom shop guitar. As well, it'll be interesting to hear. Have I ever ordered a custom anything? I don't think so. I did recently find out that Martin will do a custom shop guitar with stainless steel frets. I never heard of anyone having a custom from Martin with stainless steel frets before, and that's very appealing because it actually isn't too bad at all. Like if you want an OM28 that is around, let's say 3,000, you can custom order that guitar and just have the stainless steel frets instead and maybe one other change. You might want a cutaway and stainless steel frets. So there's no guitar from Martin that exists like that. I spend a lot of time looking around the internet for guitars, and right now there's no cutaway Martins. I mean, there's the SC guitar, there's one or two used. There's hardly any cutaway guitars, which is kind of frustrating, I think. But the good news is you can go and order the custom. So you could order a custom OM28 with a cutaway and stainless steel frets for about $1,000 more than you would get an OM28 standard. And to have stainless steel frets and a replec done on a Martin from Sweetwater is around $800 anyway. So in that case, you could argue it works out a lot better to do the custom shop order. However, the problem with this is that you don't know what that guitar is going to be like. And like I've said many times on here over the years recently, the last couple of years, the problem is all these guitars sound quite different to me. That's what I've discovered anyway. And I've demoed that on the channel as well. And if you listen to Martin talking as well, they say the same thing. One piece of wood from the same tree can sound very different in two guitars. Two guitars made from the same tree can sound very different. So the only problem you get with the custom thing, I'd always warn people about, is are you going to like what they make you? And you can do your absolute best to make sure you will. You can specify, I want grade 8. I mean, so for example, with Martin, I want grade 8 wood, so there's no bear claw, or there's less chance of bear claw, we should say, because obviously the wood they use at the time is the best of what they have available at the time. So you can specify that. You can specify other things that get you, make sure you'll be pretty happy. But at the end of the day, until you play that guitar, especially sound-wise, you're never going to really know what it sounds like in the room when you're playing it. And that's a bit scary, I think. So, no, I haven't. Here's my thoughts, though. My true thoughts on custom shop instruments is they're actually a very good idea, but only for the right person. And I really believe this because if we take my experience with Suhr, for example, now Suhr really are a custom shop, but you can buy the standard guitars that they build and you can buy custom shop models online, of course, right? So what I've discovered is I bought a few of Suhr's and I didn't like the guitars because of the choices that Suhr and that the other people the stores that ordered them, the choices that they made. That was my issue. So I've decided recently, I love Sir. I think Sir are great. The quality is incredible. The build is incredible. They're just absolutely incredible. But you have to, with those guitars, I think you have to order your own guitar. But the problem is, don't do that until you know what you're going to get. And the problem with that is, you don't know what you're going to get until you've played a bunch of guitars, right? So this is a real conundrum when you get into guitars. I think everyone should start off. If I could do it all again, I'd start off buying used, borrow used, great return policies, make notes of what you like and what you don't, really get into it that way. And then when you're absolutely sure, when you've got that list down of everything that you like in a particular guitar, then do a custom order for that guitar and just hope for the best. I think that's the way to go, because there's not enough guitars on the market that have enough custom kind of specs for me. There's not enough variations. Like, there's not a single Martin on the market right now with stainless steel frets, but you can order one from them with stainless steel frets. You see the same with Fender. You get a lot of custom shops come up. They have similar specs because they're making that batch of guitars. Even the custom shop stuff, they tend to use similar specs at that time. But once you know what neck you like, once you know what pickups you like, once you know everything, then you can order your own guitar. So if I was to custom order a Sir now, I know exactly what tuners I'd have, what neck I'd have, what saddles and bridge I'd have. I know all that now from experience, from a very expensive experiment that I've done, which is, why I made the YouTube channel, to share that experience. But of course, my experience is only my experience. You might not agree with the things that I like and that you like. So I really do think the custom shop experience is very important. I really do. But I also think you've got to be very careful with what you get. Now, at least with something like Fender and Martin, you have some kind of resale value, hopefully, unless you go too crazy. You should be able to resell and at least get half your money back, right? So if anyone's ordered from Fender Custom Shop, let us know in the chat. I haven't done that yet. I do have a couple of customs that I love. Actually, I've got one that I don't love that I'm going to sell. I've got one that I really do love, that really has great specs on it, that I wouldn't really change much. I would do stainless steel frets on the Fender Custom Shop, but they don't offer that service. That would have to go to Sweetwater for a stainless steel fret job and Plek. So as far as I know, it's only master built Fenders that can have stainless steel frets and Martin guitar, which is a big thumbs up for Martin. I didn't know they did that. No one's ever mentioned they do that as an option. That's awesome. So big thumbs up to them for that. All right, thanks for the question, Nick, and let me know if you've got any follow-ups on that one. Bedoin, have a good show from New Orleans. Anyone see the eclipse? I was too busy looking at guitars. I didn't see it. Rex, good afternoon from Arizona. Good to see you, Rex. How you been? Rosanna, good evening. And everyone in the chat, happy Monday. Thanks for moderating as always. Madfrit Manchester, hello to all. Madfrit, I hear that Liam Gallagher and John Squire are in New York City. I wish I could go and see the taping of the show, but I think they're doing, I thought it was Wednesday. I was going to try and go and get some last minute tickets, but they're going to be doing it tomorrow, I think. I think I read tomorrow. So I have a gig tomorrow, so I can't go. I will be watching it on the television. Okay. Lee says, good evening. Thanks for moderating, Lee. Your lead-in song should be a sitcom theme song. If you want to send me one, I'll do it. Mark Smith, evening, Aaron. Good to see you, Mark. Did you see the eclipse? I did not. I'm not kidding. I was too busy. I was. I mean, you know what I'm going to say, right? I was shipping some things I sold. I had to take two. I was walking, so I had to take 2 trips to the post office. So I was shipping 2 things, and then I came back and was getting ready to go live, and I was actually looking at guitars as well. So yeah, I then thought I thought, well, I really should look at the eclipse because everyone's going to be doing it and talking about it. I probably shouldn't have gone live at this time, but a little part of me is like, I hate to say it, a little part of me just isn't. I almost went outside, but from what I hear, from where I am, you can't see much. Pardon, I guess it's a pun, right? You can't see much anyway, literally. So, hey, the thing is, it just shows how much I like guitars, doesn't it? All right. Jack, good to see you, Jack. How you doing? Phil over at Know Your Gear said you're the acoustic guru. Thanks for allowing me to join. No, this is great. I really like Phil. I really do, and that really meant a lot to me that he said those kind words. I know. I gave him a fight. This is what happened. I want to tell you all the story about this intonation thing. I think it's really interesting. So, last week, if you missed the show, I was saying that I've suddenly become very aware of acoustic guitar intonation, and the reason for that is that I loop. So I will record a bunch of open chords and solo over the top of them up the neck of the guitar. I'm not Van Halen, but I like to solo at my shows because they're long shows. It gives your voice a break. It gives the audience something different to listen to. So I've just noticed lately that on this Maton guitar that's got stainless steel frets, and I've been playing it to try out the stainless steel frets, and I'm really enjoying the guitar, but the D string is 15 cents flat. This is frustrating because it's already been back to Maton once. Okay? Now, the thing about acoustic guitar intonation is, there's a few things about this. First of all, a lot of people that play the acoustic guitar only play open chords or below the 5th fret. So I'm talking about myself as well. Obviously, when I sit and play without a loop pedal, I play open chords, and I might play Here Comes the Sun. I might play a capo up the neck. I generally stick down the bottom of the neck. You're not too bothered about the intonation. So intonation is how in tune is it up the neck. So, for example, if your low E string is perfectly in tune with a Peterson strobe tuner, with the open string, and then you play it, you fret the 12th fret and play it, that should also be a perfect E. And what you find with many acoustic guitars is they're not perfect. So even my Martin Custom Shop, the OM, I tried that. Every string is slightly off. Now, the thing about every string being slightly off is it's okay. I haven't got perfect pitch. I'm not going to sit there and complain about the accuracy of a strobe tuner on a guitar. Maybe I should, I don't know. But the only time it really becomes a problem is when you're recording or looping. So if you're playing that open E chord with that open E string that is perfectly in tune, and then you go up the neck and play the 12th fret, okay, if it's a few cents flat or sharp, you're not really going to hear it. But with the guitar that I just had a problem with, the D string was 15 cents flat. Now that's really noticeable. Once you get to 15 cents, it's 14, 15, but yeah, I think I clocked 15 at once. So 15 is really noticeable against a string that's perfectly in tune. So it is a problem. So the weird thing is no one talks about this. I looked for videos, I looked for solutions. Lee said about adjusting the saddle. If you think about it, where can you make the adjustments? If you've got a real problem, it means the bridge has been glued on in the wrong place. But I don't have a real problem because all the other strings are really good. So that indicates, as Lee said last week, I agree, it has to be the nut. Well, the only place the string is touching is the nut or the saddle. So that's where your problem is. Most likely it's at the saddle. And I found one video where they said that you can sand the saddle down to make that compensation, to improve that pitch. And Lee said the same thing. Well, I did try it. It made absolutely no difference, and I messed up that saddle. So I was getting pretty annoyed about it. So I decided, I called Sweetwater, and I said to them, look, will plecking and having you guys look at this and make me a new saddle, will you be able to get it perfect? And they're going to take a look at it. So I've already sent it to them. I didn't want to deal with it anymore. And I like the idea of having the guitar plecked as well, because they don't pleck the guitars at Maton right now. So if they can fix that, if they can improve that, I'm also going to have the guitar plecked as well, which is a whole nother conversation to have about, is the pleck worth it? Well, I'll have some more information on that once this job is done, of course, if they can do the job. So yeah, I just got annoyed with it. And then the next night, Phil was on his live stream, so I decided to ask him, because he's repaired many acoustic guitars, and he said those nice words about the channel, which was really appreciated. And he gave a 10-minute talk on intonation, so check that out on his channel. It was cool. But I was just getting really frustrated with this, because there's so much information online about everything. Strings, picks, guitars, sounds, pickups, everything. No one talks about acoustic guitar intonation. Maybe 3 people. And no one actually does it and shows you them fixing it. No one. And I think that's crazy. And I think this is a really important thing. And this is one of those things that I don't really want to talk about on YouTube because, or maybe this is why people don't talk about it. I don't want you now to get your Peterson strobe tuner, measure your guitars and say, oh my God, my guitar is defective. I don't want to do that. So just bear in mind, I have one guitar with almost perfect intonation. It's a Cole Clark. All my other guitars are slightly sharp or flat on each string. And that really isn't a problem. 2 cents flat on the Peterson tuner is really, no one can really hear that. They can't. But once you get 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, I mean, any more than 15, you've got a real problem. Now, maybe I was thinking if all the strings were flat, the same amount, that might be acceptable. But when you've got one string that's 15 cents flat against the others, you're really going to hear it. And I did record a video of this guitar before I sent it. So I have the before video showing this issue. So what I'm hoping for is, I'm hoping they can fix it. They'll plec it. I'll get the guitar back. I can make a video on, is the plec worth it? Can you really improve the intonation on the acoustic guitar? And I'll make videos about it. And if that is the case, going forward, I'm going to be very fussy about any other acoustic guitar that I buy, because I don't want to have to send it to someone to have them fix the intonation. I want guitars to arrive fully intonated, and I think that's fair enough. So we'll see. I'm kind of doing a bit of an investigation on this, and I hope people will find it interesting. But yes, I really appreciate Phil. He's very nice to say those kind words. He didn't need to. That's great. And welcome. Thanks for joining us, Jack. All right, Mark Smith. Cheers, everyone. Drink some water. Says, I'm trying to develop the skill of finding the key to a song by ear. Any advice? Well, Mark, I don't use I don't use my ear. I use my fingers. No, okay, seriously. How about that? I laughed at my own joke before I even said my own joke. That's not good. So, what do you mean exactly? Do you mean you hear a song and you can tell just by hearing it what key it's in? Like perfect pitch. So perfect pitch is you hear a chord and you know that's a G chord. Or do you mean... Oh, I guess that is what you mean, right? By ear. I mean, that's really hard. So there's a few things with this. First of all, like I said, if you have perfect pitch, if you hear a note, you know what that note is. So I don't have that. I wish I did. I'm really jealous of everyone that has it. But some people that have it say it drives them crazy. But I mean, all the great musicians like Elton John, all those, anyone you can think of who's very successful, most of them had, well, a lot of them had perfect pitch. I think perfect pitch, if you have it, I think that's incredible. And I really wish I had that. But if you don't have it, can you learn it? I don't think you can learn it. But what you can do, well, first of all, you can develop your relative pitch. So if I play you a G, you know what the third is because you already know what you've heard as a G. In fact, why don't we strike this thing up here? Why don't I get some use out of this piano since I never get to use it? I'll give you a quick overview of this, in my opinion. All right, so with this note here, I wonder if anyone watching can tell me what that note is without without grabbing your guitar. Because if you grab your guitar and play up the neck until you hit that note and you know what it is, then that's not by ear. That's by using a guitar to figure it out, right? So I wonder if anyone watching can tell me what that note is, the name of this note, without cheating. We'll see. Don't cheat. Don't cheat. You're only cheating yourself if you cheat. Okay. Right. But once you know what that note is, if I tell you what that note is, which I will once we've had some guesses in the chat, I'll tell you what that note is. Any guess? Ah, Lee got it. Really impressive. Rosanna, did he cheat or he knew that was? Wow, that is a C. So what that means is that Lee most likely has perfect pitch. If you can hear that and know what that is, you have perfect pitch. That's incredible. So I don't have that, so I wouldn't know. I might be able to guess it from all this time, but anyway, thank you for subscribing, Finn. So I wouldn't know that was a C. I might guess it, but I wouldn't. I don't have perfect pitch. So relative pitch means if I play another note against it, well, what you're doing then, that's relative. So the second note is relative to the first note. Da, da. So there's two ways you can learn this skill of relative pitch. One is just to sing up the scale. Oh, it's the third note of that, so it's a C, it's an E, C, D, E. Or the other one I used to love doing when I was at university was to connect it to a song. So what song is that? Da 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 da. It's While Shepherds Wash Their Socks by Night, right? So right, so that's relative pitch. So if you're talking about that, like figuring that's what you're talking about is a very big thing to learn, but that's where I'd start off. I'd start off by working on relative pitch. So you want to play a note, pick a note, and then play another note. And you have to learn, like you have to train yourself to think, what is the sound of that? Does it sound like a song? Or all these intervals will sound like a famous song, but also you can just get used to how it feels, how it sounds. And over time, you'll just hear two notes or three notes, and you'll just know what that is because you've done it so many times. It's just like everything else. You have to practice at it, right? That's a really important skill to have. And I think that's what you're talking about, because if you hear a song, say, so let's imagine the piano as a guitar. If you hear a song, right? If you hear those three chords on the guitar, or let's make it simpler. So you hear the song. It's really hard to play this in this position, but so you're listening to a song, and that's the introduction. So you know it's the C. Someone's told you we're in C. So you know it's the first chord is the C. So if you listen to where the bass moves, da 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 da. It's the fourth note. It's the fourth chord. Or while shepherds away in a manger. Sorry, away in a manger. So there we go. So that's an F. And then the more you do that, what might happen over time is you might find then that you're listening to a song, a different song, and you just know because you've done it so many times at that point. Oh, I know that's C to F. I hear it, right? I just hear that. And then with the guitar, what I find is you hear the shapes over time. So if you strum a G chord on a guitar, it has a certain sound to it, doesn't it? Just because of the way the notes are arranged, the sound of that chord, it has a sound because of the because you're playing the open chord, the strings are ringing out, and the order of the notes have a sound, so you just hear it. So that's a really good tip as well. Think of like famous recordings. So I'm trying to think of one. If you listen to, I think Take Me Home Country Roads originally is in A. So if you listen to that enough times, you'll just remember what an A sounds like. It might take a long time, but over time you'll just remember. It'll have that sound to it, right? Especially on it, more so than the piano, I feel. Like on the guitar, like a D chord on a guitar has a very specific sound to it. Like that's Crazy Little Thing Called Love, right? The intro to Crazy Little Thing Called Love, when he's going between the D and the D sus chord, that is a very clear picture of a D chord. It has that, you just know that's a D. So that's what I like to do. I like to link everything to a song. Interval, what song is that interval? I mean, this is the famous one. What song is that? Right? So that's a semitone, that's a half step. So that's how you link everything to a song, and then also start to think of famous songs on the guitar where that first chord. So Crazy Little Thing Called Love for D is a big one. Ain't No Sunshine, A minor. You got to find those songs that are really iconic, that you really can just recall in your head. and then match that to what you're hearing. That's how I would do it. That's a long-winded answer. And there's also a lot of different options for different people. Like I like to link things to songs, but other people might want to learn it. Other people might want to link it to a scale. They might want to just sing it like I did earlier, sing up the scale and things like that. So there's a few ways to do it, but that's how I learned to do it. And that was a revelation for me when I was taught those intervals. So we would literally go through every one. So that's Jaws. That's a half step. Da, 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 da. That's Happy Birthday is a second. Minor third. What is a minor third? I can't think now. I mean, see, with that one, I'd just go up the arpeggio. Da, 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 da. What song is that? Oh, I can't think. Can't think of one. I'm on the spot. That's da 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 da, and then away in a major, and then that's a tough one, the flat fifth. But not really anymore because we've got the Simpsons, and then the fifth. Da 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 da. Is that Superman or Star Wars? Whatever that is. And then so and so up the scale. But yeah, that's the way I do it. I can't drive me crazy now. I can't think what a minor third would be. Da da. Someone tell me a song that starts with a minor third. Da da. I got to find one that's going to drive me crazy. Songs that start with minor. This should be the easiest one. I don't know. Minor third. Oh, Greensleeves. There we go. Greensleeves. And oh, Georgia. Georgia? Really? Greensleeves is the one. Da 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 da. Yeah, that's okay. That's actually interesting as well. You'll find so many songs that start with the same interval. Like so many songs start with a fifth or a fourth or a third. Like not many songs start with or because they're jarring, right? They're jarring sounds. The third, the second, third, fourth, fifth are very comfortable. But these other ones, they're more discordant. But I love the Simpsons one. Isn't that da da Maria? Anyway, yeah, there's obviously that's a good thing to practice. Find a song and figure out what the first interval is, and then that'll be another one that you'll remember. Well, I got way into the weeds of that too much. Apologies. Oh, I want it that way. You are my fire. Okay, right, yeah. Oh yeah, Nirvana. Okay. Greensleeves. I think I did that song too. You are my fire. You are. Yeah, okay. You are my fire. There we go. Oh, cool. All right. Well, I learned something there too. So Lee got that. So just one more thing I have to do this before I go on. I get fascinated when someone can tell what note I'm playing. I then get fascinated and think they have perfect pitch. So we have to do one more for Lee. If Lee gets this note, then he has perfect pitch, and then my next question to Lee is, did you know that you had that? So Lee, what note is this? Let's see if he was just lucky before. This is interesting. All right. So Mark, I hope that helped. That's how I do it. And I'm still working on it. You know, like I said, this is stuff you should do every day to keep yourself, it's a bit like going to the gym, you know, ear gym. Keith said, am I imagining it was your video slightly lower frames per second today? Let me just think about this. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's my fault. Interesting. So what I'm trying something out here. I got myself a what do you call it? The video thing. But it shouldn't affect the frame rate. I've got the thing that goes over the camera, so I'm looking straight at the lens and not, because normally I'll be looking down the whole stream like this, and that drives me crazy. So I've actually got the screen is over the camera, and I'm dragging the screen up to there. So I'm just trying to think, would that shouldn't affect the frame rate though? Huh. I don't think that affects the frame rate. But this will be a test video, so bear with me. I'm going to leave it as it is, and I'm going to watch it back later to see. Because I like the idea of this. The reason I got this is that I want to, I spend a lot of time when I make a video thinking about what I'm going to say, and it takes me days. I'm thinking. And then eventually I'll just come in here and just do it, because I've got to get it done and hope for the best. And I do feel like they go pretty well, and I'm happy with that. But what I want to have is this. I love this. So right now I'm looking right at my camera, right at the lens, which I love. And I'm looking at myself. But the point is, I want to have, in fact, that might be what's causing the issue, that I've dragged the monitor display onto this screen. But normally when I'm shooting a video, I'll have text on the screen, and I'll be looking at the text here. And I'll either have bullet points, like specs of the guitar, or I'll actually have a script. I'll actually sit and type out what I'm going to say before I make the video, not just do it completely off the cuff. Because off the cuff is good, but when you do things completely off the cuff, sometimes you get specs wrong, prices wrong, you say the wrong thing in the video, and you also don't say things in the right order. You have to go back and record another part again. You have to change things around. So, yeah, so I'm not sure, but bear with me. I'm going to compare this to last week's stream and see. But it should be fine. I don't know why the video monitor would send that video signal to the computer. I have to look into it. But yeah, I'm hoping this will improve the videos. I probably won't use it going forward for live streams. I'm just testing it out. I do like the fact that I'm looking at you right now and talking to you looking at the camera and not looking off to the side. I think that's annoying. But especially for my recorded videos, I want to be able to sit here like this and look at the lens and have my notes in front of me and not. I tried to do one scripted video a couple of years ago, and I was reading it and my eyes were just down here. And then I read about a new AI thing that will make it look like your eyes are always looking at the lens all the time, which sounds really cool, but also freaky, right? Fake eyes. So it will see that if I'll bring it down here. This is where it normally is. So let's see if it makes a difference. All right, next comment. I was thinking about buying a custom shop guitar from Sweetwater. Oh, okay, that's fine. Oh yeah, well definitely. Go ahead, be my guest. Yeah, it looks the same to me. So I'm not sure what's going on. I like having this here. I'll see. Custom shop from Sweetwater. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've bought several. And just make sure you really try it out when you get it and return it if it's not for you. That's the important thing. Because I got a guitar, and I really liked everything about like the weight and everything. And I was thinking to myself, well, I can, I can make modifications to it, and I did, and that never really came together. So be careful with that. If there's one thing that bugs you and it's easy to change that one thing, then that's fine. But if it's something that can't be changed, then I would get something else at that point. Be careful with that stuff. I thought it was the Eclipse, but it was just the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Well, that's fine then if it's just him. I saw nothing, and that's not a joke. Jack Stowe. I'm referencing Gibson this question. Do you have a preference in regards to long or short scale? It's tough. I just sold my authentic Martin 00028, which was short scale. And for the longest time playing it, I was thinking to myself, I don't like short scale. I like long scale. But then I did that thing yesterday where I played that guitar and thought to myself, well, this sounds great. If the thing about a lot of this spec stuff is, in my opinion, is we get in our heads about it. Like if you hand someone a guitar and don't tell them it's short or long scale, or it's narrow nut or 1 3/4 inch nut, a lot of this stuff I don't think matters as much as people think that it does. That's just my opinion. I mean, I'm not writing it off completely, but I do think people over. I'll get myself in trouble. I don't fully believe that, but I do think sometimes the spec becomes more important than the actual experience, at least in my experience. So, long or short scale, I'm always going to go for long scale. Again, if I have the choice, because in my experience, the long scale ones do have that extra volume and punch to them, and that's what I like in a guitar. But I also completely understand why people want short scale, because the strings, when you have a shorter scale length, the strings are looser. The strings feel easier to play, and that's huge for some styles. Like if you're playing a lot of lead, if you're playing a lot of fingerstyle, you might really need that short scale if you're that specific. I do a mixture of both, and I kind of, that yesterday was a hard lesson because I thought to myself, well, this sounds great. Does it really matter? And also, other things can really affect the feel of the guitar even more so than the scale. Like even going from Elixir strings to the Dario XS strings, I feel a massive difference in tension. I'm not sure what the exact numbers are on the tension on each of those sets of strings, but it's really noticeable for me. So for me, a long scale with XS strings versus a short scale with those Elixir strings would probably be quite similar anyway. So these things are quite small, aren't they? They're not. It's not like the difference between an OM and a Dreadnought going from short scale to long scale and narrow nut to wide nut. Although some people will disagree with that statement. So I'm not really. If I have to choose, long scale, definitely. But I wouldn't be against trying a short scale. Because like I always say on here, all guitars sound different, and sometimes the sum of the parts just come together and make something really cool, and you must never discount that. So I'm contradicting myself. I said earlier I would know exactly what specs to choose on custom shop guitars, and I kind of do. I do. But I'm also not going to discount the fact that sometimes you'll pick up a guitar in a store that you never would customize or pick up, and you just like that guitar. That is a thing, and that's why it'll be sad if guitar stores go away, and that's why you need to buy from somewhere with a very good return policy, because you will get guitars like that. But aside from, and there's just things that I know I wouldn't want. Like on those Suhr guitars, I would not want the vintage standard tuners. I had so many problems with them. I eventually bought enough sets of tuners that I got the guitar to work well, and I have no problem with vintage tuners, but the tuners they were using were just a real hassle. And I'd much rather have their locking tuners. Although their locking tuners don't fit on a guitar hanger like the one behind me. So there's always something, nothing's perfect in life, unfortunately. Dr. McFarland in the house. Lee says, there are some tricks you can do with a nut if you can't get the change you need from the shaping of the saddle. It's very difficult to get it just so it can take hours of work. Yeah, that's why I didn't want to do it. I wanted someone very experienced to work on that intonation. But all I really care about is, can it be done? It's going to be a great video for me. I'm really excited because no one's talking about it. No one seems to bother about it. It is a thing. It may not matter to certain players the way they play, and it may really matter to some players the way they play. And I think it'll be again it's one of these niche of a niche videos, but I'm excited to do it. I can't wait. It should take a few weeks. They're going to evaluate. They've already got the guitar. I shipped it straight away. They're going to evaluate the guitar in 2 or 3 weeks, and then I'm going to give them the go-ahead to do the repair. So I probably won't have any more information on this for another month or so. But I'm very excited to get it back. This mainly applies the further up the fretboard you play. Yes, keyboard chords saying yes, exactly. Yeah, that's the thing with intonation. It goes out up and up the neck. So the first 3, 5 frets are fine. It's when you get up to the 9, 10, 11, 12 that's the problem. And like I said earlier, a lot of people don't even touch those frets, and that's what that's fine, and that's why they don't have an issue with it. But the minute you start to loop open chords and then solo at the 12th fret, you're in trouble if you're not intonated. And another good test for this is just simply play the open string and then play it at the 12th fret. Fret the 12th fret, play that, play it open, and listen to the difference. With the guitar I just sent off to Sweetwater Repair, you can hear that it's flat. Okay, you should, again, like this. So if you play the low E string and fret the 12th fret, you should hear that perfect octave. And then the A. So you won't be playing them together, will you? But you should hear. And then the D. I guess you'll be down here. So we do it again. And then the A. And then the D. So my D up here was slightly flat. Can I show you that? No, not on here. But the thing about this intonation thing is, the G, B, and E. The thing about this intonation thing, though, is that there's really good videos about the piano intonation and the way the scales work. What's his name? Howard Goodall, years ago on BBC TV, did a bunch of shows about how music works. And he explains how the piano is not perfectly tempered. It's equal temperament. It's not perfectly tuned. They had to kind of watch the video, because I'm going to say it wrong, but they had to squash everything in to make it work. Okay? So by squashing everything in to make it work, you get places where it's not perfectly in tune. Some pianos and keyboards, some keyboards have a perfect tuning setting, so you can hear what that would actually sound like if it was perfect. But as the guitar is tuned to the same system, it's the same problem. So you're always going to get notes that don't ring true on a regular guitar, because it's not possible. You'd have to get something like there's some guitars with squiggly frets, and they shape the nut, they shape the saddle, and they have squiggly frets, and they get them to be perfectly in tune. But who wants to play a guitar with squiggly frets, right? It's going to be confusing. Well, that's my opinion. So you have to bear that in mind. You cannot. That's why many people will say to you, you can't have a perfectly intonated guitar. So when you say to someone, my guitar has bad intonation, I want it fixed, the first thing they're going to say to you is, well, it's not possible. You can't do it. And that's true. But that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the D, the open D and the high D are not perfectly in tune. And that can be fixed. That's because something on the saddle isn't cut right, or the nut, as Lee said. One of those places isn't cut right, and it's making it sharp or flat. So it should sound like this. Because if you imagine, you've taken a solo and you've recorded a chord down here. So that's your guitar playing that chord, and you start playing that high D. If that's slightly out, it's so jarring, That's a bad example, because that note is in tune. But yeah, if this D was 15 cents flat against that chord that's perfect, it would just bring it down enough that your ear would hear it, and it would really drive you crazy. So let me get back on track. So what happened there? That's another thing I've had lately. The camera's been shutting off, which is really annoying, which didn't used to happen. Anyway, Rosanna said, no, he got it. I thought it was an E. Okay. I want to see what he said to the next note. Yeah, I'm not sure. You know, I used to use Elgato camera links for the cameras, and they started to go weird. So I switched them all to these new ones, and they were perfect. And then lately, I see the camera sometimes going off. So annoying. There's always something. The problem is every time a new update is released for the Mac or whatever, I guess that might conflict with it. So with this technology stuff, you're always chasing your tail, you know? Lee says it's easier on a piano than a guitar. Okay. So Prodigal Nation got it. And hey, so Prodigal Nation, do you have perfect pitch? Hey, Thomas, how you doing? I want to know if Lee got the second one or if that was a guess. Michael Kennedy, how many gigs a week do you think is appropriate to keep yourself motivated? I mean, motivated. I thought you were going to say to keep yourself, you know, gig fit, in which I would say 2 or 3. I think, yeah, I think like 2 gigs a week. Once you do more than 4 gigs a week, you know, then you're really full time and you've got to just really take care of your voice and everything, and you're playing. I'd say 2 to 4, so maybe 3 gigs a week. But what do you mean by motivated? Because you can be motivated with 1 gig a week, right? Yeah, I thought the question was going to be how many gigs a week do you think is appropriate to be full time, or to keep yourself like gig ready, gig sharp, you know? But motivated, I think motivation comes from you, really. I just had my Fridays off because there's been some sport where I play Fridays, and I quite enjoyed it. I enjoyed having that time, having that full day off. That's how I did a lot. I was very productive. I did a lot. I put a lot of stuff for sale, organized a lot of stuff, got loads of things done, did my taxes. So it's definitely important to have time off. Like there was a time when I did 1 or 2 gigs a week. I was looking at my calendar from 10 years ago because someone was asking me about who started at a venue first. And I couldn't believe it. I had like 3 classes in the morning, a birthday party in the afternoon, and then a gig at night. And then 3 classes the next day, and then 2 gigs, and then 2 gigs, and then a birthday party and a gig. And I was like, wow, I feel lazy. Like I'm not doing anywhere near what I used to do. But I wasn't doing YouTube back then either. And I want to do more YouTube. So motivation just comes from you. I'm more motivated now to do more YouTube stuff because it's going really well. But I still love doing the gigs. I just think that long term, I think this stuff is really important. The video stuff and all that is very, very important. But I still love to go out and just play a gig, of course. That's still my main motivation. But the online stuff is almost caught up with that now because I see so much potential in it, you know. But I need more elaboration on that. Really motivated. C to F is Angel of Harlem. Yeah, and that's a good point actually, because when you're going the other way, because C to a height, the next F up the keyboard, going up is different to going down, right? So Angel of Harlem, I think, is something like that. So yeah, you need to train your ear to hear both ways, going up and going down. So most people do that. Most people play the note and then play a higher note, but also practice playing the note and playing a lower note. Yeah, good point. In a perfect world, what's the perfect gig for you? Well, I'm not that, you know, the great thing about gigging is usually, well, you always get a different audience, right? You rarely get the same people, and I like that. And then likewise, I'm hitting my camera now, hang on. And then likewise to that, you'll often play different venues. I think that's really important. It keeps it interesting. When the venue's different, when the people are different, it keeps it interesting. Especially the people, of course. If you played the same room every night, the same crowd, that would be tough. having said that, perfect gig. I mean, yeah, it's really tough. The first thing that comes to mind is just like space. Like so often you find yourself hemmed in a corner, or have people walking right by you, and I'm okay with that. It's nice to be close to people so you can engage with them. But there's always that sense of, what if they spill a drink on me? What if they knock into my mic stand? What if they try and grab the mic off me and say something stupid? So definitely space. A stage, I don't know, stage is nice. When you get a stage, it can start to get to the point where you're kind of disconnected from the audience. A bit like when you wear in-ear monitors, and that, it's amazing, but you feel disconnected. So I'm not sure about that. Maybe a small stage, enough space, in a decent sized room has enough space, and then since it's a decent sized room, a good standing PA system. Like I used the Everse 8 on Saturday night. It did the job, but it's not the same as using a real 2000 watt PA speaker. And they never said it would be, to be fair to them. But it's not. I hear it breaking up. I hear it compressing. I've only got the one speaker beside me. I'm so used to in-ear monitors now. So in a perfect world, I'd have in-ear monitors. I'd also have actual monitors in front of me to give that feeling of the sound coming up, because you do feel that, and it does bleed into the mic and everything a little bit and gives a bit more realism too. So I'd have two real monitors, in-ear monitors. I'd have a mic feeding the sound of the room into the ears in between songs, so I can hear what people are saying. That'd be incredible. And just have a load of people that want to enjoy the music. Like, it's so nice when you have a crowd and they're into what you're doing, and they're reacting to what you're doing and saying and doing, right? There's nothing worse than a crowd where you feel like they just don't want you to be there, of course. So that's the first part of it for sure. Was just talking about sharks. That was the Jaws. Yeah, that was Jaws. But thank you for that. Green Sleeves. Yeah, that's the one I always used to think of. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, that's better. The problem with a lot of these songs that we link intervals to is they're all kind of old carols, and they're all songs that many people wouldn't even know what they were anymore, I feel. So it's good to link them to modern songs. All right, linking this to Jaws, a 15-year-old isn't going to know what Jaws is, are they? So if they're studying piano, like, what's Jaws? And you could even say the same with the minor third. I mean, even the Backstreet Boys, I guess. Green Sleeves. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but what do kids know what Green Sleeves is now? I'm referring to songs that we all knew 30 years ago. So I don't know. You might want to find some more modern examples of these things, but they work for me. The Entertainer. I don't know that. But there we go. That's three of those semitones again. Three of those half steps. Yeah. And then that's the sixth. Yeah. Or minor six. Yeah. So yeah. Whatever song you know, link it to that. Don't link it. I mean, go online and they'll tell you about. Like, I've got it right here. Look. Minor six, In My Life, the intro to that. Major six, My Way. But you might not know that song, so you've got to find songs that you actually know. We need a more modern update to that. Yeah, I've got to keep my eye on that camera thing. I really hope I'm not filming. Well, it shows when it goes off. It shows me, so I just don't want to be filming and it goes off. That's right. Just do that part again. But that's annoying. I need to look into that. I want to see if teleprompter. That's it. That's what I'm using today. No, it wasn't. It was A. So Lee, unfortunately, you do not have perfect pitch, but that was so, that was good that you got the first one. The fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, the major lift. Yeah, that's actually great. That Hallelujah, he's actually talking about those intervals right there. I love that lyric because so if he's in C, which he is, then he sings the fourth and he plays the fourth chord, the fifth and he plays the fifth chord, the minor fall and he plays the minor chord, and the major lift and he plays the major chord. It might be the wrong chords, but he's actually saying the chords that he's playing. Yeah. Very clever. So if you're not a musician, you wouldn't get that. You wouldn't know what he's talking about. Rosanna thought that was a C. It could have been an A. There we go. Could have been an A. So look into that. Do some more. I'm not going to test you on live, but do some more testing. Do you base string gauge on the choice? String gauge on the choice. I don't know what you mean. Do you base string gauge on the choice? Of what? Of the short or long scale? Well, you can do. Because again, what's the difference between a short scale guitar with heavy strings and like I said, the elixirs have more weight to them, more tension, and a long scale with lighter string. All this, you got to factor all the. I mean, of course there are differences, but you've got to factor all of this in. And I always say it's often what we get used to. I'm so used to a long scale guitar with 12 gauge strings that that's just what I like because I'm so used to it. So you hand me a short scale guitar with 10 gauge strings, I'm going to freak out. So a lot of it is just what we get used to, for sure. Good point here. Short scale also makes stretches more doable, like stretching a ninth on an E shape. Police fans, if you have smaller hands, a Taylor GT shape is 24 and 1/8 and very noticeable. Yeah, because all the frets are closer together. So that's a good point. I never consider those points because I have massive hands, so apologies. That's a good point. If you've got smaller hands and you struggle with stretching, the short scale is probably the way to go. Yeah. Good point. Good point. I have a Fender Duosonic for the same reason. Yeah. Pooh says, true temperament. So cool, but like the Bossendorfer piano with extra holes, who writes for that? That's the other problem. You're going to start to be out of tune with other musicians as well if you start messing around with that stuff. Lee wasn't sure. We'll do some more testing at home and let us know next time. I'm interested to know. I was recently watching a video interview with Pete Anderson. He uses Earvana compensated nuts and on his slab guitars. I see they also offer adjustable saddles for flat tops. I've heard about Earvana, so that is a compensated nut that improves intonation. So I should probably look into that. And saddles for flat tops. Okay. Yep, I'll look at that. Arch tops can be interesting in that distance between bridge and tailpiece can substantially affect the perceived string tension. Yeah, I just know that I like Elixir strings, and I was trying to play them for a while, but I was really considering adjusting the action on all the guitars, and then I put the D'Addario XS strings on, and they just feel same gauge, feels so much easier to play. The strings just must have less tension in the string itself, and they also then they seem to last longer for me as well, which is good. I really like those strings on most guitars. Long or short, yeah. Well, that's a great point about like if you play a lot of fingerstyle, it's so dependent on the person. If you play a lot of fingerstyle and you don't have a very big stretch, then a short scale guitar just seems very like a great choice. I tend to strum really hard, and I have big hands, so I don't have a problem with the stretch of the frets. And I play so aggressively generally. I'm trying to play a bit softer lately because I play so hard that extra tension will take that better than the short scale, for sure. So a bit of a generalization, but if you're playing fingerstyle, if you're playing the blues, playing a lot of licks, the short scale, I mean, Clapton plays a short scale guitar. If you're more aggressive, if you're really laying into the guitar, the long scale scale length. And then some guitars are kind of in between, like all over the place, right? I mean, a good example, like I've been playing the Maton lately, and I don't know what the nut width or the scale length is. I just enjoy the guitar, and I haven't even looked for that reason. I'm trying to see if I can just not be bothered by that stuff. I have a feeling it's probably in between, in the middle, in between, which would be interesting to know. So, okay. Any more questions? Put them in now, because I do have to go and ship this guitar off. I have to say, it feels very good to have more space in here. And I am hoping to get to the point where I can actually do some concerts in here by the end of the year. We'll see if I get to that point or not. And I gotta say, I've really been enjoying those stainless steel frets. So I've been playing that guitar. I've actually really been enjoying the Matons a lot. I do have a few issues with some of the setup things. I mean, I don't like that I'm having to have this D string fixed. For me, it's a problem. But we'll see what happens. The other Maton I have doesn't have that issue, or it's way reduced. And so maybe it's just this model, this guitar. I don't know. We're gonna find out. But I really am enjoying the stainless steel frets. I have no conclusive opinion because I haven't played that guitar without stainless steel frets. That's the one thing I will say. But they've been great to play. They feel great. They're smooth. Bending is easy. I mean, the action is also very low on the guitar as well, on that the one that's just been sent off to be repaired. But I really like them. Makes me even more frustrated now that other companies are not using them. I'd love to try some other guitars with stainless steel frets to see what happens. So that's an ongoing thing. I wanted to make a video about stainless steel frets on acoustic guitar, but I'm not going to do it until I've played some more guitars with stainless steel frets, and I've played that one more because I want to really be sure of what I'm going to say. DR rare strings can feel easier for gauge. The wound strings have larger diameter wrap with a smaller diameter core. Interesting. It's amazing how different strings feel, isn't it? Strings feel so different. They sound so different. I've experimented with a bunch of different strings. It's. I wonder how much it's what we get used to, like I said before, because I tried so many different strings on Martin guitars and just kept coming back to the Martin authentic strings. I think their strings are really good for Martin guitars. They just die way too quickly for me to use live, so that's why I went and tried Elixir, but they kept fraying and they feel stiff. And then when the Dario made the XS, I just really like those. They feel great. They're easy to play. They keep their life. They keep their sound. And on most guitars that I plug in, I think they sound really, really good. So I try not to go looking elsewhere once I've found something that works like that. And whenever I have done that test with different strings, I've usually just come back to those two. A bit like picks. I've tried to like other picks. I've tried to review other picks, but I just always come back to the Jazz 3 XL. I just love it. Is that because I've used it for 20 years? Probably, but I'm really big into that. Well, we get used to what we get used to, and we don't always want to like new things. Maybe over time we will if we give it a chance. Jack says, I have sausage fingers and a J45 long scale. I'm going to Gibson Garage and looking at a Hummingbird short scale. Yeah, I mean, you just got to play it. You just got to play it. At the end of the day, that's what it really comes down to with any instrument. When you pick it up and play it without thinking about that stuff, does it inspire you to play more or not. So I've been experiencing that lately with that Maiden guitar. Like I tried to put the stuff out of my head and just play it. And I had to, the thing about that guitar is I had to play it. I was forced to play it because of the stainless steel frets. I wanted to experience stainless steel frets on an acoustic. That's why I got it. So it forced me to play it. And then at that point, I just got used to the neck, got used to everything else. I just liked everything about it. I just liked that guitar. If I sit down and figure out what these specs are, I might then say to you, well, actually, I need a different guitar with so-and-so. That can be a problem. That can be a problem. So, yeah, I don't know. But also what I've discovered, well, come to remember, is that the setup is so important. The setup of the guitar can just make or break the guitar. So if your action is even slightly too high and you're fighting the guitar, it's not fun anymore. It sucks. And if the action is low and it's easy to play, yes, you do lose some tone, unfortunately, and that's what people struggle with. They want to find that perfect in between, which I do think exists if you can get it. But for me, with like a guitar that I plug in, I want it to play easily. I don't want to be playing for 4 hours with a guitar that I'm fighting. I really hate that at a gig. I want the guitar to be easy to play. So to me, that's important. I've said before, that's why I think it's not a bad idea to have a guitar with a slightly higher action, or not higher, but an action that's low and not super low, that you play at home and you play acoustically, because it will give you more of that volume in the acoustically, and then have a guitar that's set very low or lower to play on stage. I read that Noel Gallagher's acoustic guitars, when he records, have 12 gauge strings, and when he plays gigs, they have 10 gauge strings, and that's basically, I guess, why they do it. So when he's touring every night, his hands don't get tired because the strings are so loose. And then when he's in the studio and he's just taking he's recording parts and then taking a break, he can have the heavier strings to get more of that tone. That makes a lot of sense to do that too. But for me, I like to just have a guitar with a great pickup system and low action that I can use at my gigs. And that's mostly what I do anyway. I'm the opposite of him. I mostly play out live. And then have a guitar at home with slightly higher action where I pick up and play for half an hour, and the action doesn't bother me because I'm not playing it for very long. I tried the XS to write on my Martin HD28. Went back, please. Yeah, I did try XS on a Martin and didn't like them. I will say that. They sounded too scooped. They sounded too sweet, too nice. They didn't have the grit. That's the thing about those Martin authentic lifespan strings. They have grit. The Martin has a bit of grit, and then those strings add more grit, and I like that sound. So I do agree with that. When I said earlier, there's most guitars, I was referring to that Martin. But that wasn't a stage guitar. So I'm mostly talking about guitars that I plug in. Any guitar that I plug in, I use the XS. And I like how they sound plugged in, like how they feel, like how they last. But on the Martins, I'm not using them. I'm still using Martin authentic lifespan strings. I think they work really well on Martin guitars. I think they're great strings altogether, but they don't last very long for me live. Jack, you're welcome. Happy to help. All right, so I'm going to wrap things up. Did I miss anything? I'll just say, as always, if you're new here, please subscribe and ring the bell. I really would appreciate it. And check out the videos I posted the last couple of weeks. I'll have more coming for sure. And thanks for letting me try this new thing out today. I'm hoping to use it in future videos. So I'm going to watch it back and see if I think it's as good quality as last week. So I'm not using that for the camera. I'm using it to view myself. These things are a game changer. You know, even if you do video calls or any kind of video content, you should check these out. They're amazing. Because when you think about it, some people have a way of having the camera in front of their computer. So they're talking to the camera. That's cool. My camera is above the computer. Some people have them to the side. So it's fine. Normally I will just look at the camera in a video and try not to blink too much because I blink a lot. And I'll just talk like this to the camera. But I'm just looking at my camera. If you look at the screen on the side of your camera that's flipped out, then your eyes are over here looking to the side. I hate that. You're not connected with the viewer. So having this, I'm looking right at my lens. The lens is behind what I'm looking at, but I'm looking where I'm looking at my face, the lens is behind it, pretty much. So you're seeing me look right at you. And then the great thing with that is if I have a script on the screen and I'm reading it out, I'll have the script again right on that lens. So I'll be reading it, but it'll look like I'm just looking and talking at you. I was actually thinking this would be great for musicians. Because when I have my phone on my mic stand and I read the words, I'm looking down like this, right? While I sing. So it'd be great to have this for a musician, because if I could have the lyrics in front of me and while I'm reading my lyrics, I'm looking right at you. One day maybe we'll have those glasses and the words will be in the glasses. But then you'll be hiding your eyes. So that will create a new issue. I think this is great. I should have got this a long time ago. I just need to test that out a little bit more. But highly recommended if you make any kind of video stuff. All right, hope that was useful. I enjoyed doing a little bit of the theory stuff today. Don't normally get to do that. Thanks, Nick. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks, Manchester, Rosanna, and Lee. Thanks for moderating. Do some more tests on that pitch. I want to know if Lee has perfect pitch. Whenever I hear someone play something that perfect, when you have perfect pitch, you can like hear a melody and just play it back. Whenever I hear someone do that, or whenever I play a note and say to someone what the note is that, and they know what it is, I get super excited. I get a bit jealous too because I want that skill. That's not something you can learn, but I get super excited for them because I think that's just an amazing thing to have. It's so useful. If you don't have that, you have to work a lot harder because you don't know if you're out of tune. You don't know what note you're listening to. You have to really train yourself to learn where those pitches are and what they sound like. Whereas when you're born with perfect pitch, you just know what the pitches are that you hear. That's really incredible. Really great thing. But if you don't have it, you can still be fine. Just have to work a little bit harder maybe. And there's also stories of some people with perfect pitch that over time the perfect pitch goes slightly flat, which causes them a lot of issues apparently. So it's not all fun and games. All right, thanks for watching. If you're new, subscribe and ring the bell. I look forward to seeing you in a future video. Take care and be well. Bye-bye.
I need a holiday is what she said to me. I need to get away from you. And as I watched her lying next to me, I wished for a holiday too.